Hello everyone, I am Tacet and welcome to the Gems of War raid stream, week 30, day 6. Of course, we're done with raids, however, we got ourselves a gnome hunt. Current goal, go reach 100. We're not ending the stream until we get at least 100 kill count, if not more. And hopefully we'll get at least a vault key or two within that. I'll hand out first code once we get a vault key. And yeah, still on that grind. Also trying to get Stormcaller up along the way. We got Hierophant to a level 100 last night, and now we're working on Stormcaller. We're definitely not going to have that done tonight, but got about a little under 5 hours of grind left to go get this thing maxed. So we'll be able to get a decent chunk into that and have it nearly maxed then. But anyways, we've been kind of just chilling in Zhejiang for a good majority of this and talking about a bunch of random things normally throughout the stream. So if any of you have any questions or anything you want me to go over, let me know. Let me go double check. Let me go Google it real quick. I forget if time goes back today or the other day. Let's see. 1 hour shift. What's it even called? I'm just typing in 1 hour shift. Not that. It's trying to do a work shift. What's it called? Daylight saving time. Daylight saving. Oh yeah, it does say March 8th compared to the thing, but it might be March 8th in the sense that it's in the morning. Daylight. I'm pretty sure it's tonight. I believe it's like 2 a.m. tonight or something. Exactly so. It ends at 2 a.m. Hey, I actually guessed it exactly correct. It's oddly enough the exact same time as the reset of Gems of War is the time that you set back. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, 2 a.m. So that's when you set it to 3 a.m. is at 2 a.m. That's interesting, but yeah, it falls under the exact same time as Gems of War reset. Go figure. But the more you know. But yeah, it is technically tomorrow, but it's so early tomorrow that's technically tonight. Let's see, move that down. Oh yeah, it's spring forward compared to daylight saving time. True. Yeah, the whole hour shift system thing is so weird. I'm not sure why we still do it. I believe there was even legislation in the United States to consider getting rid of it this year. However, they didn't get rid of it in time. There's a possibility it might still happen. Because it does basically nothing for no one compared to what it used to be used for. What do we even grab here? We don't have any of our good mana. Why's this board gotta be so bad to us? Just give us our win condition. Stopping the inevitable. Which also reminds me, we need to go do dailies because we got a really good daily today. Well, not a really good one, but a above average one. We got deeds. Brown deeds, if I'm not mistaken. 4 brown deeds, if I remember correctly. Yep, 4 brown deeds. Let's go grab those real quick before I forget. And these do have gnome chance in them too, by the way. Adventure board per day, even though it's a limited amount of battles, does have the same chance for gnomes. So there's a good chance in doing all 9 of these or 10 of these. Next tube, hello Bill. Hello, name I do not know how to pronounce, but welcome. Hello, or I should say I don't know how to read. Hello Cookie. Hello Lochnar. Hello Kalthos. Hello Zex. Hello Lochnar. Hello Steve. Let's see. Hello Kalthos. Hello Doturo, and hello everyone else. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Jake Boxa. Okay, let's go find that gnome and get our brown deeds for today. We've been getting so many deeds lately. I mentioned that earlier too, but we are just getting deeds like almost every day as of lately. It's really nice because that's one of the best things that you can really get off Adventure Board in the current state of the game is more deeds. And something like we got that right off start. Already did. Hello, Drock Savage. Welcome. Also, my thing says that we're dropping frames. What's happening? The actual video playout looks fine. But my program says we're dropping frames. Strange. Not sure what's up with that. Hopefully it'll stop soon. I know. All the settings are exactly the same. Work properly. Okay, I'll take that for now. Grab our explosions. Yeah, it is stuttering some, huh? We'll see what happens in another minute or two. Yeah, YouTube says it's going fine. My program says otherwise. How important is it to get Cedric upgraded to Mythic? Not important at all. And if you only have 6 copies, you actually don't want to upgrade him. You want to wait until you have 7. Because there are team compositions that use 2 of him rather than 1. I probably should have switched team for this final battle. But oh well, we'll just have to double cast. Before we get lucky enough off this explosion. Not quite. No extra turn or anything. But we do have that at least. And even though he has 80% score reduction, we almost kill him as if it's nothing. I'll take the blue, and that should be kill. There we go. And there's our 4 brown deeds, of which we have so many right now. I think we're sitting on like 70, 80? I think we're closer to 80 brown deeds right now. I haven't used a single brown deed. It is the only deed I have used 0 of, which means we've gotten 72 total brown deeds over the course of the game so far. Not too bad. That reminds me, did we finish all guild tasks? We should by now. I feel like we get it done by Tuesday, most weeks. Tuesday or Wednesday. I already claimed all my seals. I'm not claiming it as if we didn't already claim them. It does nothing. Why is there even a claim button there? Can't gain more than 2,000. But yeah, we definitely already have them all done. But anyways, next order of business. Let's go do dungeons real quick before I forget. Get our free little bit of jewels. Also, this will outpace the value of the jewel gnomes already. We've gotten 13 jewel gnomes today, all of which had such useless drops that we're about to get more loot just from doing this real quick than we will from all the jewel gnomes we got throughout the entire day. That is pretty sad. Actually, that 13 jewel gnome count is between yesterday and today, but still. Just counting today, it definitely outpaced today. What am I looking for? I'm looking for, there it is. The Venetia team. Get our quick kills here. The upgrading Cedric has no direct benefit, other than the fact that he can survive ever so slightly better. However, that's not really something that matters on him. Since you got lucky and got a Cedric before the event, should you grind hard to get a second Cedric for the event? Yes, it is advised to own 2 Cedrics. There are some team compositions that are gold farming related that use 2. However, the first one's the most important one. But it is nice to have 2 of them. Is there a reason you don't use 2 to 4 brown deeds on every kingdom? I would still leave enough to max out the kingdom at any point, just wondering. Mostly because we'd want to max them out one at a time if we could, just to make sure we get the actual stat bonus, as the stat bonus is the most important thing off of every single kingdom. And the other reason is mostly because we don't know which ones will be useful into the future. And for any of them that do get a faction that we're going to want to go and complete out, we're going to want to go and put our deeds into it. But yeah, so far, based on brown factions that currently, or brown kingdoms that currently exist, or, you know, based on what we currently know within the game, Urskea is currently the best value brown kingdom to max. Second best likely being Droxzoom. But as it currently stands, Urskea is the best brown kingdom if you do want to go upgrade a brown kingdom. But it's mostly a lack of Imperial deeds is my main reason for holding. But once we get more Imperial deeds, we'll start doing other things. Yeah, Drifting Sands, I believe, has an upcoming event, doesn't it? But we might be putting it to Drifting Sands in the near future. Pretty much whichever one has a kingdom, faction related to it coming up is what we'll put it into. But anyways, we just saw right there that we ended up getting a pet. So for that reason, let's go and grab this real quick. It's definitely one we still need copies of. It's a relatively newer one. We still need 24 copies of it. Still using Hierophant here, so let me go grab Stormcaller and go get these killed for 16 free EXP while we get these pet copies that we already need. Well, the main thing that you will look at for if you want to upgrade it or not is mostly if it has a faction associated to it. Just have a little bit of bonuses for when we run pure faction. Ends up making it quite a bit easier. Also depends what the stat is for the kingdom. However, in most situations, unless it's magic, it doesn't really matter as much. And the only ones that have magic is purple and green. Purple has 4, green has 1. Oh, I should have taken that purple, I mean the blue. Go grab that, take that. Can we get the last little bit of that mana? Doesn't look like it. So let's take that for now. Let them do whatever. Don't have anything else we could take here. Where's all of our good mana? We have some really bad boards. I'll take that, so now we can get things rolling. Yeah, red is for only Mrs. Scales at the moment. Doesn't have any others. Probably will in the near future, but doesn't currently. Doesn't currently. I still hate that pet gnomes can't appear here. I mean, not pet gnomes, gnomes in general. They really need to add gnomes to pet battles. Your armor kingdoms to boost Rowan can be good. Like, every single stat has a good reason to get it. Magic because it's the best stat in the game. HP because it's the best durability stat in the game. Attack because it helps Iron Guts and helps you do more skull damage with skull spam teams. And armor because of Rowan. Theoretically, I can have my Rowan's damage be about 8 higher than it currently is. I believe we have 12 Imperials. And I'm pretty sure we have 4 Armor Kingdoms that we could upgrade if we really wanted to. However, outside of the use in Rowan, armor is actually generally less effective than the value that you get from HP. I still wish armor had some kind of additional benefit, because HP has always been better than armor. And the only exception to that is on troops that have a boost ratio off of it. But on a standard troop, there's no real benefit to having higher armor compared to having higher HP. You'd kind of think there'd be like a damage reduction or something attached to armor. But there's nothing. It's just a weaker version of HP, unless the troop has boost ratio for it. Because HP is generally the main thing that makes it so you don't die. Whereas armor only half the times makes it so you don't die. Because there's things that hit HP only. There is an interesting mechanic that doesn't exist anymore. That when you were burning and still had armor, and you had a barrier, you would not have lost barrier, and it would just take in the damage off your armor. But now it actually does take away your barrier off of armor, which is kind of weird. Even if you have armor while having barrier, while you're burned, it'll take away the barrier. Whereas at one point in the game, it didn't actually do that. You need more ingots. You can get legendary and mythic off of Underworld. You can get the 3 lower rarity ones up to ultra rare pretty easily off of PvP. The only hard ones to get are the epics. However, the easiest way to mass obtain them, oddly enough, is Gnome events, like many things in the game. The best time to farm it is during Gnome events. And that's mostly because the new Mecha Gnome, well, somewhat new, it was added, what, 8 months ago at this point? But the most recently added Gnome has epic ingot drops. And it has not only a 12 epic ingot drop, but also a 51. Obviously the 50 being the rarest drop it has. But it does have 2 drops for it. And if you get the 50 drop, that's more than enough to upgrade a single epic weapon. It's like a weapon and a half, as far as how many it does. Do your daily delves. I haven't done my daily delves in ages. Mostly because we have an absurd surplus of shards. I think we're sitting on, gosh, what was the number? Isn't it 20-something thousand? Or was it 10-something thousand? I'm pretty sure it's 20-something thousand. Unless I used some more than I thought I did. But I'm pretty sure we're sitting on 20-something thousand chaos shards. Despite not having done the dailies for them for like a couple months now. Actually, since we stopped doing white helm attempts because we finally finished it, I don't think I've been doing any. But as far as challenges, the main reason I haven't finished out all challenges is mostly because there's no actual incentive to do so, other than the loot that they give. And most of the loot that challenges give, while pretty useful up to even late game, isn't really that useful once you have pretty much everything in the game. However, there are some epic ingot drops, so I guess we could get it off of that if we really wanted to. I forget how many he ends up giving. But if we did all the challenges up to that point, I think you get like 3 per kingdom or so. So I guess there is one useful thing in there that we actually do need. I forget what tier it's on though. I believe it was on 6 or 7. Oh, why'd he gotta get that kill? And he's dead. There we go. Claim all rewards. Grab all that. And we're good to go. Nice. Okay. Next thing. I'll change back to armor. And let me go check how many shards we have for Underworld. Yep, that's what I thought. 21,000 shards. That's a lot of shards. But there we go. Anyways, next order of business. Let's keep getting this thing leveled. Oh, that's not the team I want, though. I guess we'll still play it out. There's Phoenicia, can still one-shot. If it can one-shot 5 and 6, it can one-shot 3. There we go. Okay, let's do that again, but not with that team. Yeah, there's some decent loot within challenges. There's diamonds, there's jewels, there's trait stones, there's ingots, there's some souls, there's some gold. What other things were in there? There's some chaos shards. A couple things here and there. It's not like the greatest loot in the game. Actually, the biggest one is off of tier 5. You get 7 gem keys and I believe 3 event keys. It has the highest gem value of any tier. It actually has so much gem value for doing up to challenge 5, full completion in every single kingdom, that just challenge 5 itself has more gem value than all of the other 9 tiers combined. That's how good it is. That one single tier is more gem value than the other 9. Also, I still find it rather baffling that they didn't add deeds to one of them. They did chaos shards twice, but they didn't do deeds a single time, even though that feature was added when deeds were added to the game. We did ask during the beta that if they could add it to tier 10, and they didn't, because it made no sense to have shards twice. And it would have been a great way to gain more deeds. Though I don't believe writs existed at the time, did they? I don't think they did. Otherwise, that would have been the perfect thing to do it as. Something like 20 writs for the 7 battles, and then 1 single deed of the color of the kingdom for the other one. While that wouldn't be an excessively high amount, that would be enough deeds to, you know, work towards getting some progress on kingdoms. And some incentive to actually go all the way. Because if tier 10 actually was giving deeds, I would definitely go all the way to tier 10 on every single one. Oh, so we were talking about Canada Dry ginger ale earlier this stream. And then it got me thirsty for Canada Dry ginger ale, which I already had in the fridge, actually. Works out. Oh, so where are all of our gnomes at? Have I not been... Didn't we get a jewel gnome earlier? I'm pretty sure there's like 5 of them I didn't mark down. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we got one earlier, so I'm gonna move that up at least one. Guarantee we did. How do you get the first troop? This is the weapon from Dervish hero class for 250 wins. However, you don't actually have to cast it. Any weapon that doesn't block Rowan will work. Doesn't really matter too much what it is when you're doing an explore battle like this. Oh, so it looks like those connection issues that we were having at the beginning of stream is completely gone at this point. Not sure what was happening then. Whatever it was, it fixed itself. Yeah, we're going on a bit of a gnome dry streak. We know you're out there. You're hiding in all the clusters. The cluster gnomes. Go like 10-20 minutes dry and then get a fuel back to back. What banner are we using? We're using +2 blue, +1 green, -1 yellow. The reason for this banner setup is it allows Rowan to full mana off of 4 times or 5 times blue or green. Because we have +2 blue off a banner, +1 green off a banner, and +2 green total with an additional +1 green off of Leprechaun. So it's +2 blue green. Which works really well for Rowan. Because that gives us access to full mana on 4 times or 5 times, which we wouldn't have had prior. So like this green right here gives us full mana. Because we have +2 total to it. 1 off a banner, 1 off a Leprechaun. And we could do the same thing to blue for the same reason. Works out really nicely. Is Rowan better than Sunbird? Yes, it has been for almost about a year now. As more stats come into the game, Rowan becomes increasingly better than Sunbird. And the main... Excuse me. The main reason for that is the boost ratio. Rowan has double the boost ratio compared to Sunbird, even though Sunbird has a higher base damage. So as stats get higher in the game, Rowan keeps increasingly becoming better than Sunbird. There are still some situations where Sunbird is usable. However, like 99% of them are still Rowan these days. However, one's still a nice combo earlier on in the game. If you don't have that many damage sources. Hey, level, nice. Is using Rowan plus Sunbird. Like a Mountain Crusher, Rowan, Sunbird, Leprechaun kind of team. Because you can single cast both of them. If you don't have something like Mirage Queen to feed it mana. And kill things out that way. Particularly in like a PvP kind of situation. But yeah, like the second you start getting medals of guard, the ones that give armor, your Rowan's already going to become stronger than your Sunbird. Just because of how much extra damage that is. 24 armor boost to her is 48 additional damage. It's a pretty hefty amount, particularly in early game or mid game. And it is the common medal, so it's definitely not that hard to get copies of. Might still take a bit of grinding, like an hour, a few hours, but you can get it in early game pretty easily. If you focus on it, within 5 hours total, you could get Rowan, as well as enough medals to get her 24 armor. Might take a little bit longer than that. But it can be done in about 5 hours or so, even with early game speed kind of teams. Which it might take a little bit longer than that. I forget how long it actually takes to form that many metals. But it definitely wouldn't be too long. It's definitely doable within a week if focusing on it. Assumed that would be full mana. Unfortunately not. So you've pulled Vespera today. Congrats. I assume off of event keys because it's the only thing we could really pull it off of. Does it have to be... wait. Does it have use outside of Guild Wars? Yes. You can do it with pretty much any pure color team in any direction. End up working out pretty well. You could end up doing it with Finesse. You can do it with Humility. You can do it with... both of those are yellows. You can do it with Skeleton using Thrall in first slot. So Thrall, Vespera, Skeleton. You can do it with a lot of hero weapons, many of which are a single color, pure color. And those are some of your bigger options that you have. Those three. That and various things that use it with weapon. Ooh. Oh, you grab here. We'll take that for now. And that should be full mana to kill. And gnomes are still hiding from us because they like hiding. For whatever reason. The very elusive gnomes. Really bad hour for gnomes as well. They just do not want to come out. At this point, we almost need to give out a redeem code when we see a gnome rather than a Volkey. Gosh. We might go the next half an hour without one, it feels like. Better not be the case. Instead of wanting 100 gnomes, and now we're not getting any. You feel like the longer you grind, the fewer gnomes you get. Well, we're doing pretty good this morning. Right now, it doesn't seem to be giving us anything. You settle on not crafting any Doom weapons? That's perfectly fine to do. There's a lot of alternative weapons to them. They might not do exactly the same thing, but you know, you can still cover all the colors you need while using every other weapon. They are rather situational. However, there are a few situations that they're pretty good in. Like Doomed Glaive or Doomed Cloak for the Truffle team. And a few other kind of similar situations like that. For to get really good value in a team. Yeah, it takes a lot of diamonds. It requires almost like 1.5 mythics worth of diamonds. However, it would give you 6 options compared to a mythic, which would give you 1. But mythics do count towards kingdom progress, whereas those weapons generally won't. Oh, there's finally a gnome. Hopefully that means we found a cluster of them. You know you want to drop a vault key so we can hand out code. Come on, gnome. You're taking longer to load because you're loading a vault key. We're hacking our vault key right now. Go, vault key. 100% chance. Processing. It's authenticating our vault key. Let's see. Ah, wrong key. Definitely in the wrong key. I guess we spelled vault key incorrectly. At least we got a key. That is not the key we're looking for, though. Hey, you want a vault key? Just restart the game. I know, that worked earlier for it. I know, trolled by the gem key. I always hate when you get one gem key, because depending on what syntax you read it in, it can seem like a vault key because they both have the word key in it. You only have 30 health on your Rowan. How would you upgrade that? Mostly with kingdom upgrades. Level 10 all kingdom, 5-star all kingdom, 10-star all kingdom. That's where a good majority of stats come from in the game. Or from the main star objectives on kingdoms. And of course to get them level 10. But you do level 10 on all of them prior to even doing star levels. Can you repetitively start and restart from a battle to get a gnome? No. You used to be able to, however you can't in the current state of the game. Why am I not using controller? I don't know. We just didn't use controller today. This wasn't in a controller mood. We didn't do it for earlier stream either. We did yesterday, just didn't today. It's not that much slower. Assuming you know where to click and just have a habit of doing it, it's not too much slower. However, it is slightly slower doing it without controller, but it's not too big a deal. After you've played it enough times, you pretty much know everywhere where to click that you don't really waste time. Or as much time. Yeah, Rowan's damage is based on armor, not HP. That is correct. It has 2 times boost ratio based on it as well. Yeah, using controller with already knowing where to click also helps out quite a bit. However, controller does a lot of those other inputs. Why? Why does it feel like half our vault keys have been off of glory gnomes? Like, I don't mind getting glory keys, but out of every single thing to get them on, glory gnomes is like the worst. Because that means we're not getting a good drop off a glory gnome. But it's a vault key nonetheless, so can't really complain too much. But that could have been 1,000 glory. But anyways, there's our glory key, which does mean redeem code time, because I did say once we get first vault key, we would hand one out. And that is a vault key. Let's see. Where's my code section? This one should be the next one that works. Put this right over here. Put that there. It does indeed work, as to be expected. Put that there. Paste, paste. Copy, copy. Paste again. And there we go. There's the redeem code. Use it on gemsofwar.com with the game code section. Your invite code can be found in your settings menu. Our redeem code is right over there. There you guys go. Let's see. Level 5 Explorer. You thought it was 1, 2, and 3, and 12. There are 5 Explorer levels that work. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 12. 1 is the easiest to kill and generally used for soul farming. 2 is used for Dragon soul farming, as well as if you don't have enough damage to kill 3. But definitely easy enough to kill out 1. It's kind of like the mid-range for that. 3 is where the highest you could use something like a Rowan and stuff like that, where you can instantly kill it while still getting slightly better loot. 5 is where you do 2 trophy farming. 5, if you have enough damage on your Phoenicia, it's the lowest difficulty, where you start getting 2 trophies, and you can end up farming out trophies at the highest rate in the game on 5. That became viable as of 2 patches ago. And 12 is, of course, the best way to get tokens, as well as the best way to get most trait stones in the game, or at least higher rarity trait stones, I should say. Particularly things like Arcanes and Celestials. Anyways, well, particularly Arcanes. Celestials isn't too big of a difference in rate. It's because of how much slower the battles are. Not like so much slower, but, you know, slower still. But anyways, we did that. We did all the side things, so let's just keep going and grinding out our gnomes then. Well, that except Underworld, but we already have a surplus of resources as we showed earlier. Do developers have a plan of a new gnome? Probably. We don't currently know of any, but there's a good chance that another one's coming, yes. There's always a chance another gnome is coming. I'll take that. Get a free full mana. Oh, Mech Gnome gave you a Volky. Nice. Yeah, gnomes do appear in challenges. They appear in challenges, explore, quest lines, daily delves, both the 2 PvPs, the normal PvP and the casual PvP, arena, and I believe that's it. The places they do not occur in are any guild-related events, including the new one, assuming they coded it correctly. So no guild-related events. They do not appear in things like Bounty Hunter. Basically, anywhere where you have a sigil-related thing, they cannot appear. Did they not appear in pet battles? They did not appear in dungeons. They did not appear in Underworld. And I believe that's all the places they don't appear. Unless I forgot something. But yeah, they do appear in challenges. They actually used to be the best way to farm them in the past. However, challenges are not repeatable anymore compared to how they used to be. Assuming they coded it correctly, yeah. You never know. And there was no way to even test that during the beta, since there was obviously no gnome event during the beta. Or no vault event, I mean. Yes, they do appear in Arena. Actually, Arena is the only location other than PvP where Pet Gnome appears. It only appears in Arena and PvP. There's a possibility they might change it to be everywhere in the near future. However, next patch is not doing that, even though it was requested for them to do so. That's currently only PvP and Arena for Pet Gnome, whereas every other gnome exists everywhere. Or, you know, everywhere that gnomes appear. Hey, a level. Right into purple. And now we got 4/4/4 purple. 4/4/4. Yeah, Arena is pretty useless in the current state of game. It's a really good way to get souls when you're first starting out into mid-game. Like through early game into mid-game. But beyond that point, it's pretty useless. No longer is the best trophy rate in the game. It gets outpaced for soul rate pretty quickly with various means that are available throughout the game. And, I don't know, it just doesn't have any good reward going for it. Its biggest purpose was supposed to be for souls, with the secondary being trophies. But it easily gets outpaced on both regards in the current state of the game. Yeah, Arena stops losing its value within like 50 to 200 hours of playing the game. Beyond that point, you pretty much never touch Arena again unless you're just doing it for fun. But for its actual loot, you don't need it beyond about 50 to 200 hours into the game. Sometimes even earlier if you get lucky enough to get a Dragon Soul or some other decent soul option. Like, the second you own Dragon Soul, you definitely never need to touch Arena ever again. Come on, Gnomes. Where are you hiding? Up, there we go. Hopefully he's part of the cluster. Oh, we're not ending the stream until we get 100 Gnomes. Even if it takes another hour. Want to get at least 100 by then today. Which is 10 more at this point, obviously. Based on the counter. What Gnomes would you like to see added to the game? Probably a Gnome. However, they're likely going to be doing a different method to be able to do that. But, I would love to see a Gnome that drops the Gnomes. That or just have every individual Gnome drop itself. Actually, that second one would probably make more sense. But, a Deed Gnome? They will never add a Deed Gnome, though that would be very useful. Most of his drops would be Writs if they ever did add one. But yeah, a Gnome that has a chance to give some amount of Writs in a various degree from like 10 to 100. As well as one Deed of each color and an Imperial Deed off a really rare drop. That would actually be a really, really decent Gnome. That's very unlikely they would ever add that though. But yeah, Deed Gnome would be really good. The Tom Nook Gnome. He steals your gold. He takes your deed until you pay. That sounds about right. Yeah, Badge Gnome seems like another one they would never add, but it would be very useful. A Gnome that drops every token in the game. I highly doubt they would actually drop badges or medals, though. But a token one wouldn't be too overpowered. Especially if you gave multiple copies of lower rarity ones. Like the common and rare ones, and ultra rares. And then just like one Arachnia, one Anu, and one Nisha. There's currently, I highly doubt they'll ever do an Orb Gnome. And the main reason for that is Vault Keys off of Cedric basically is the Orb Gnome. Cedric has an absurdly high rate of giving you a Gnome. Of giving you an Orb, he has like a 1 in 3 chance of giving you an orb or something. It's ridiculously high ever since they buffed it. He didn't always used to have that drop rate. At one point it was like 1 in 10. But as of about a year ago when they buffed it, they ended up making his orb drop rate absurdly high. Which is a good thing because his best loot is actually orbs. His best loot is a minor blue, major blue, and a major purple. Those three orbs are actually his most valuable loot. Because a minor blue can convert into as high as 500. A major purple in endgame, or if you have all the guardians and you have 40,000 for your guild, it counts as 675 gem value. And a major blue doesn't technically have an exact value. However, it's worth about 1,000 gems. And of course, it's worth at minimum 500 since it can convert the same way that a minor blue does. Except you would never use it for that purpose, obviously. Yeah, he has really high rate for orbs. He already is the orb gnome pretty much. Yeah, he does have a 250 gem drop. I've gotten it like 2 or 3 times or so. They added it about a year and a half ago. Actually, they did it at the same time that they did the orb buff. They did a couple different buffs to him. One was that they gave him a 250 gem drop. The other one is that they drastically increased the rate of orbs that he gives compared to other loot. And I think those were the only 2 main changes that they made. They might have made one other tweak to him. Oh yeah, they also made Cedric more common off of him. I'm not sure why they made that change, but it does make it so it's easier to obtain Cedric. I think they mostly did that for newer players, because it can be a little bit hard to get your hands on a copy of your first Cedric. So I think they did that just to make it a bit easier. However, in the long term, it's kind of weird, just because you get way more Cedrics than you get of the commons. But if nothing else, it was mostly to help newer players. Yeah, it all happened in one single patch a little while ago. Like a year and a half ago. It's a pretty nice update to him. Because everything about it was a buff, not a nerf. Except maybe Cedric being more common. That's a buff to newer players, but a nerf to anyone who's not a newer player. Since you're going to get way more Cedrics than you ever need. I think we currently have like 30 excess copies of him or something. Some kind of really ridiculously high number. Actually, let me go check. Pretty sure it's around 20 or 30. Pretty sure it's in the 30s. Let's see, how many copies of Cedric do I have? Yep, 33. Which means we've gotten 31 drops off of Vault Keys that were completely useless. Just in him. That's how many excess Cedrics we've gotten. 31. Every single one of those could have been something worth hundreds of gems. But instead we got 31 useless Cedric copies. That was the only slight bad thing about the changes that they made a little while back. Half Guardian's Pure Faction team for level 500. You would end up doing it with, what's it called? You would end up doing it with, Silent Sentinel, Sentry. I ended up going for the Sentry route for the final time I actually got it. But it was Silent Sentinel, Sentry, Double Gargoyle was the team I finally ended up completing it with when I did Pure Faction and actually won. But yeah, Silent Sentinel, Sentry, Double Gargoyle. And the strategy is attack buff like crazy into Silent Sentry. Use your gargoyles on the enemy gargoyle, and go all in on Skull Impact. I'm pretty sure that was the team I used when I finally got it. Like, I've used so many teams for it, honestly I don't even remember now. I'd have to go back and check the stream. Because I tried almost every variant in existence for that place until we finally got it without using potions. And we did do it potionless. I do not advise doing that though. But we were able to get it done. It's among one of the hardest factions to actually do potionless. Not the hardest though. Definitely pretty high up there. Took us way too many attempts though. Pretty sure we threw literal hundreds of attempts at it until we finally got it over the course of months. Well, obviously, because you only get 3 per day. So it would have to be at least over a month if we did 100 plus attempts. But it's definitely nice when you get one done without potions. It saves you anywhere from about 2,000 to 3,000 gems if you do a kingdom without potions for Pure Faction. Which is quite a bit of savings. The only problem is it's excessively difficult. It also generally requires you to upgrade your horde level, which eats about quite a few million of gold, as well as your treasure. Though the gold's the more important thing that ends up eating up. Also, we found the cluster of gnomes finally. And we should be getting pretty close to 93 on Stormcaller. I would check, but I don't want to ruin the cluster. Nope, no cluster. The cluster has ended. Is it rare to get 2 arcane trait stones in a level 2 explorer? It's not excessively rare. I'm not even sure what the chance would be that that would occur. But it is possible to happen off the boss battle. Obviously, the mythic boss battle is guaranteed. But the normal boss battle can still give you a double arcane drop. You'd have to hit an arcane drop off the boss battle itself. And then also hit an arcane drop off the random trait stone drop. I'm not sure what its exact rate comes out to. It's not excessively high, but it can happen. I've definitely gotten it a couple times on Explorer 3, which is nearly the exact same rate as of Explorer 2. Also, we keep getting 5 gem drop, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but he has a 20 gem drop too. That'd be like 4 5s if we were to ever get one. I don't think we've gotten a single one this weekend. That is a drop that exists. Oh no, it's not a glitch. It is possible to get double arcane off Explorer 2. And Explorer 1 and 3 in any level. It's most common on 12 though. Oh, another gnome. Nice. We're almost there. Well, we went on a pretty big dry streak, but we're starting to make a comeback now. And hopefully we'll get another Volky. I said we'd probably have 100 gnome kills and 7 Volkies by the end of the stream. Still 1 Volky short on that. So the main objective I want to hit is 100 gnome count. If we get a Volky, we get a Volky. Also, if we get a Volky on the 100th gnome, I will hand out a big code. If and only if that happens. What are the 5 best classes in the game? Titan hero class, Frost Mage hero class, Thief hero class, the Monk hero class is going to be coming out next Friday, so I might as well mention it because it's so close, it's only 6 days away. And the other 5th one is whichever triple damage burning you like the most, which most people would say is Sunspear. But after trying Hierophant, it actually seems like a lot of fun. And has a lot of potential. But I believe Sunspear still beats it out, mostly because of Perpetual Red Storm. But Hierophant is situationally better, depending on status effects you're up against. Yeah, those are the main ones. There's still a lot of other good ones, too. But those are the main ones. Titan, because it's the best all well-rounded hero class. Frost Mage, because it has the most amount of freeze of any hero class, which is really great in something like Guild War or Defend kind of situations. Thief is the best stealthy hero class in the game. What were the other ones? Monk is going to be pretty much as well-rounded as Titan, just without half mana start. But with extra benefits that Titan doesn't have, or different benefits. Like mana accumulation off of extra turns and other things like that. And, what was the other one I mentioned? Oh yeah, and a triple damage burning hero class is used for its obvious triple damage burning damage. There's several that can do it. Though the best 2 are probably Hierophant and Sunspear. Oh yeah, now would be a great time to ask a question. But I'm actually really looking forward to this upcoming hero class. It's been a while since we've gotten a viable hero class, and this thing's actually going to be meta. Possibly even the most meta. I don't think it's going to be better than Titan, but it's basically the new Titan. At least in the sense that it serves a very similar role of what Titan does. Just with a different twist. It's basically going to be the Titan for longer battles, essentially, where you don't necessarily use giants on your team. No, the Monk Hero class, the biggest issue it has is it doesn't actually have a half mana start. That's the biggest thing that's actually missing. However, it's better on longer battles because it gains 3 additional mana every time it extra turns. So if the battle is going to be going on for quite a while, it would actually be better in those situations. So in like a Guild War kind of context. Because I do feel like Guild War battles tend to drag on the longest. Just because of the weird limitation that it has. Compared to many other game modes. Right, there we go. Another one to the list. What does that bring us to? 96. 4 more to go. Come on, 50 epic. I want to see at least 150 epic this weekend. 12, I'll still take it. If he drops 12 every single time, that's perfectly fine. 12 epics. It's not the same as a 50, but it's still good. Do you know what the traits are going to be? Yes. The traits on the next hero class are going to be... the final trait is give 3 mana every extra turn it does. Its second to last were a bunch of immunities, so it has immune to mana burn, it has immune to silence, and it has immune to mana drain. So it has those 3 immunities. It's that one mana shield trait. I forget what its first trait is. I believe it's just like a 2 HP thing or something. Oh no, was it 20% dodge? I don't think it was 20% dodge. Let me double check. Was it actually 20% dodge? Let me see. I want to go do the thingy. It is, oh yeah, it does have 20% dodge. Oh yeah, I forgot. That's another reason why this hero class is so good. I believe it is the only barrier hero class in the game that has dodge. Which is relevant because, unlike mitigation, it doesn't matter how much you mitigate a damage. It'll still do at least 1 damage and break your barrier. However, if you agile dodge a skull, or, a skull, you will not actually lose your barrier. So even though it's a lower percent chance, only at 20%, and it's not like a consistent amount of reduction, if it does trigger, you will not lose your barrier. It has a lot of things going for it, which is why next hero class is going to be so good. It has the most amount of immunities of any hero class in the game, having all the immunities that Titan has, with the addition of immune to mana drain, silence, fairy fire, and possibly immune to freeze, if you want to set it. And I say possibly set it because it has the following perks. The first perk you would most likely set on it is you have 3 of them that are good. You have a plus 8 life, stun an enemy when you get hit by skull, or freeze the enemy when at the start of battle. Similar to Titan, it has many different variants that it can run that are all viable depending on what situation you need. So you have an option to stun, you have an option for extra life to tank it out, and you have an option for freeze, all 3 of which is good. For its next perk, it has 2 that are good, either immune to freeze if you're up against a heavy freeze team, or cleanse every extra turn, which is generally the one that'll run by default, because you would only set insulated if you were up against a really heavy freeze team. For its third perk, it would go for, it doesn't really have an excessively good one, but you could either go for a heal of 2 or 3 heal, whatever it is per turn, or you can go for a little bit of extra armor onto all your brown allies, which are going to have some amount because you're going to be taking brown for barrier. For its 4th perk, it would most likely run with 4th perk it also had nothing good, I don't believe. Let's see, what was the 4th right there on the other one? Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have a good 4th perk, does it? I'm not even sure what you would run for its 4th, because none of them seem to be particularly good. However, for its 5th perk, it ends up having the ability to gain barrier every single brown, which is, of course, one of the bigger things that ends up making it decent. For its 6th perk, it could end up running just an extra +1 onto whatever color you want. Or not whatever color you want. You have it for brown and blue. And you also will have, I believe, the enchant, if I'm not mistaken. The enchant on green. However, you'd most likely just use it for the +1 brown, given how it works with the barrier on brown. And for its final perk, you'd most likely just run Fortitude, which gives a bunch of immunities, all the same ones that Titan does. The full list is immune to stun, poison, disease, death mark, and devour. And it also has on top of that the immune to mana drain, silence, fairy fire, mana burn, and potentially freeze. And on top of all that, it has 20% dodge, and it also has 3 mana when matching 4 or 5 gems. And that's everything that Monk does. It does a lot of things. But however, despite all the things that it does do, it does not have half mana start, or at least not a natural half mana start. However, it can half mana start if I'm not mistaken. I believe it counts as an elf, so you can half mana start it with that one troop. However, very rarely would you actually synergize it with it. Let's see, doesn't it count as elf? I'm pretty sure it was elf. It counts as, yeah, it counts as elf. So it technically does have a potential half mana start. However, it doesn't have a natural one, which does hold it back a little bit. Oh, there we go. 3 more gnomes to go. I did count that gnome, right? Pretty sure I already counted that gnome. I'm actually not even sure at this point. Pretty sure I did, though. Yeah, you can only get 1 free mythic about every 3 to 4 months or so, off of diamonds that you accumulate through natural means. If you get absolute... Wow, we're getting really lucky off these Arachnias. They're almost the same chances of getting initial on 12. That's really rare to actually get them like that. But, yeah, you get about... if you get absolutely every option, I believe you can cycle a mythic about every 3 months or so. Free guarantee any mythic that you want in the entire game. But it's somewhere around 3 to 4 months. That's how long it normally takes. Though, of course, you can obtain mythics by other means. There's just the one to get any mythic that you want in the entire game. There are 4 available in Soulforge every single week. It rotates every week. And if there's one that you know you want, you just basically wait it out until it rotates back around once you have enough diamonds. For what, Defiant? Not sure what you're referring to with that. Oh, those are the last troops that you need. Amnesia, Champion of Anu, Champion of Guard, Death, Draculus, Jotnar Storm Shield, King Bloodwood, Phoenicia, get Phoenicia, Queen of Sin, Stormhammer, or Stonehammer, Suna, Grey King, and Ubistet. The strongest of them is Phoenicia and Grey King. However, you might want to double check which ones you might need for kingdom upgrades at various locations, as some of those can be used for kingdom upgrades, depending on if you actually want to go for them or not. But as far as their actual usefulness, the 2 most useful ones that you're missing is Phoenicia and Grey King of that list that you just mentioned. Or which one is better depends on what you want to use it for. Phoenicia is pretty much only used for pet battles, dungeons, and farming the highest trophy rate in the entire game on Explore 5, which isn't really too relevant to most people, but it is one of the roles you can do. And Grey King is used for PvP and Guild Wars. Particularly Guild Wars. You just got Queen Titania, nice. Queen Titania is a great troop to have. Is she useful for anything? Yes. Queen Titania is one of the best legends in the entire game. She has the best Fairy Fire. You just mass extra turn her. If you have Yagway, she's really great synergy with it. It's a team that's been meta for a very long time. It's Flamerfur, or if you don't want that, use Urskea Crown, which you get from completing out Urskea Kingdom. But Urskea Crown into Yagway, Tapon, and Queen Titania is one of the strongest teams in the game and has been for a very long time. There are other meta teams, but it's been meta for pretty much since it existed, ever since Tapon was added to the game about two and a half years ago. Yeah, it's really solid. Queen Titania also has an interesting perk in that if you finally get enough medals to finally fully max her out, I believe in the current state of the game, she gains the most amount of benefit of any legend from being fully medaled. I personally went for Yagwe first. However, I believe she does actually gain the highest amount of value, and the main reason for that is because of Fairy Fire and the amount of damage she gets. So not even counting Fairy Fire, she ends up getting a full AoE, so she ends up getting naturally a 24 benefit from having 6 additional magic. However, since she has Fairy Fire, she actually gains even more of a benefit from that. Assuming the entire enemy team would be Fairy Fired with extra turns prior to doing her ability, the extra 9 magic from her ability would actually be a total of 36 additional damage, which is the highest amount of damage increase that fully medaling any troop in the entire game gives. There's not a single troop that gains more of a damage output than Queen Titania, potentially, from having full medals on her, due to the 6 magic she gains from doing so. There's other things that obviously gain 6 magic, but none of them use it as good as Queen Titania. I still haven't maxed out mine yet, however that is my next priority. It takes a while to do, obviously. It's definitely not a quick process. But she does gain the most amount of benefit from it, of any legend specifically. Actually, I believe of any troop in the game, actually, just period. But definitely of any legends. This is one of her more relevant aspects. And she's still to this day the best Fairy Fire. Until we get 4 times Fairy Fire into the game, she'll be the best Fairy Fire in the game. There are troops that can do it, but there's none that do it off a trait. We'll probably get a Mythic for it eventually, and that Mythic's probably going to be really solid. Because even if its ability is completely useless, 4 times Fairy Fire off a single extra turn is really good. But it doesn't currently exist. So until then, she's still the best Fairy Fire in the game. Which is pretty relevant because it's great for cast-oriented teams, since it's 50% additional spell damage. Yeah, that combination. You do use the Yagwe in front of your Queen Titania, though. And the main reason for that is Yagwe has mana accumulation, whereas Queen Titania does not. Queen Titania can extra turn, however, that doesn't actually give you more mana. It just allows you to extra turn. And the actual order of the team is Flamerfur, Yagwe, Tapon, and Queen Titania. And if you don't own Flamerfur, you can use Urskea Crown. It's relatively similar. The main purpose for using either of them is because it creates red onto the board. And the main reason Flamerfur is better is because it has more damage and I believe a 1 higher gem spawn. So it's not too big a difference using using Crown. Sky Hero? I guess you could use Sky Hero. Does that block on anything? Yeah, I guess you could get away Sky Hero if you have it laying around. Oh, Flamerfur is available next week. Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, you could just get it next week if you don't already own it. That works. But yeah, Sky Hero would also work. I personally don't care for Sky Hero that much, though, just because of its inconsistency. It's really dependent on the number of yellows on the board. And if there's only rows, or, I mean, if there's only columns with, like, 1 yellow, you're going to get a really bad spawn for it. Sky Hero is kind of like one of those high-risk, high-rewards kind of weapons. It's like having the higher consistency. But Sky Hero is good if you can get lucky alignment on it. There's just situations where you won't get as much value out of it. But yeah, Sky Hero is perfectly fine to use for it. Hey, 98. 2 to go. You know you want to drop a Volkey, because you have no other drop. Unless you feel like finally giving us the elusive 50 diamond. I actually have yet to ever get the 50 diamond off this gnome. I've gotten 20 diamond a couple times from it, though. And apparently all I want to do is drop the 20 of the useless color jewels. That's like our 17th one, and it still just keeps dropping us the 20s. However, we got 1 200 shard, but that's even worse. I'm not even sure why it's a drop. Should be at least 2,000 shards, not 200. And all the color ones should be at least 100, not 20. And diamond rate should be increased by a lot. The frequency of it. Right now it's like never. Or it should be, we should have gotten it at least a couple times. If they were to rebalance it. It's by far the worst loot of any gnome. Even if you needed the resources that she has. She just drops them at such small amounts and so rarely. that it's just not worth it. Even a pet gnome drops more of the color jewels than her. You normally average anywhere from like 50 to 100 of a color jewel from doing the entirety of a pet gnome. And while the process takes more time, it's still technically more loot than what she ends up doing off the jewels. Yeah, rope dart's a lot of fun. It's the best extra turn weapon in the game, which is why it's so relevant. I believe it's also the only armor tier weapon in the game that has extra turns attached to it. And also has some extra benefits like having Entangle on it, which is pretty nice. The Arse Fury is pretty nice too. It's like Mang, but it gets to buff up the rest of your team. It's particularly used for invasions. And we're going to have our first Invasion Weekend event coming up pretty soon. Our first Invasion Weekend event is on the 20th. If I'm not mistaken, doesn't that weapon belong to Groshnock? So the week that you'll be able to use it for the first ever weekend invasions, I believe Earth's Fury will be actually available that week. Because I'm pretty sure it's a Groshnock weapon. Is it either Broken Spire or Groshnock? I forget which. If it's Groshnock, it's available. I know Mang is Groshnock. I forget if Earth's Fury is too. It might not be, actually. I know that Mang is, though. That might be the one I'm confusing it with. Let me double check. Where's Earth's Fury from? It is from Groshnock. That's what I thought. Yeah, you will be able to craft that in 2 weeks. Not next Monday, but next week's Monday. So, you know, not the one in 2 days, but the one in 9 days from now, on the 16th. You'll be able to craft Earth's Fury. And you'll be able to do that the same week that that the Weekend Invasion is. I'll probably even mention that for a Monday video. Just because it's craftable in SoulForge. So mentioning it isn't that big a deal since everyone will be able to go craft it. And it's highly advised to get it. Earth's Fury is one of the better weapons in the game. You don't normally see me using it too often. Just because it's super situational. However, it is a really good invasion weapon. It's arguably the best invasion weapon in the game. And now that invasion events are going to be shorter, it's definitely worth considering. The amount of battles that you need to do is also going to be shorter. However, since you only have 3 days to do it, rather than the traditional entire week, you won't have as much time to do your battles. So being able to do them quicker is nice, even if you have to do less. Still good to get them done quicker. Because if you only have 1 day available on the weekend to go do it, then you'd want to get it done as quickly as you can. Oh yeah, Earth's Fury is definitely better than Flamerfur. Flamerfur basically has a 1-to-1 equivalent. Earth's Fury does not. The closest thing to Earth's Fury is Mang, however, it does not serve the same role. I don't know, I feel like you can get away with Earthscale Crown compared to Flamerfur. Flamerfur is superior to it, but they both serve the main purpose, which is create red. Earthscale Crown, oops, I spelled it wrong. Let's see, Earthscale Crown gives a gem spawn of 9 red, and Flamerfur gives a gem spawn of 10 red. Of course, they have a different secondary effect and a few of the other things. However, the main reason for casting them is to create red, and there's only a 1 red difference. Of course, a 1 red difference can make a bit of a difference, but it's such a small difference that it's not really like huge to go out of your way for Flamerfur. It's nice to have, however, it's a really small change compared to using our Scare Crown, which you can get for free. But if you had only one, I would definitely say go for Earth's Fury, if you could only choose one between the two. Yeah, it's a lot more useful earlier on in the game, I would say, Earth's Fury. You use it pretty much as you would use Mang. and you can interchange them depending on which one you need more for a given situation. Its biggest purpose is mostly invasions, just because regardless of what point you are within the game, using in invasions, assuming you have a maxed out invasion troop, which I guess it matters more so to end game, but one of the reasons why it's still relevant later into the game is because if you have 5 times multiplier on your invasion troop, you're getting 1.6 times the value if you use Earth's Fury to feed an invasion troop, compared to using Mang. Mang would give you a 1 times boost ratio, whereas using Earth's Fury would be a 1.6. And the main reason for that is because you're feeding a 3 times boost, or 1 in 3 boost ratio to a 5 times multiplier, and that ends up coming out to 1.66 overall value, meaning it's 0.66 better value than a Mang, multiplier-wise, which is a pretty substantial difference. It's almost like a double damage compared to Mang in the context of invasions. Yep, there we go. One more gnome. 99. Where's our final gnome? Is he part of this cluster? We know you're out there. Also, as I said, we'd hand out redeem code if we get a vault key on this gnome. Not that gnome. This one that's coming up, the 100th one. We'll give out a big code if and only if it's a vault key. Also, if anyone still has any other questions, let me know. Because once we get that gnome, we'll probably wrap up for the night at the nice, solid, even 100 mark. Did we gain 93 on this thing yet? Yes, we did. I wasn't paying attention. 7 levels to go. We're almost there. There it is. 100. This is a soul gnome. Come on, Volky. You know you want to. Volky, go. Volky hack. Boom. Nah, souls. Only souls. But there we go. Nice big milestone of 100 gnomes this weekend. We did 117 last time. So we're actually on track for same amount of gnomes. However, we're also on track for getting like almost half as many keys. Though we did get pretty lucky last event. I think we got 14 total in 117. Whereas right now we're about to get like 8 total in 120 or something. Or somewhere around there. But yeah, that's a progress so far. Not the best vault event, not the worst. Hopefully we'll get lucky on vault keys tomorrow if nothing else. But that's our current progress on it. Any other questions, anyone? Or anything else I missed in chat? Let's see. Yeah, I do like using the Doom weapons. I don't know. I personally like... I know some people would want to get mythics, especially really early on in the game. And you probably would want to prioritize them first. However, after about a year or two of playing the game, I would advise getting the 6 really good Doom weapons. Because not only would you have enough deeds for sure, or not deeds, enough of the colored scrolls to max them out. You definitely would have them by then, because you would have done at least a few Doom events by that point, if you're like a year and a half into the game, or 2 years. But for the cost of basically 1 mythic, you get the variety of a single color weapon for pretty much every single color. That does a full AoE damage into pretty decent Doom Skull convert, which covers a lot of ground. And it basically counts as like a whole mythic for the cost of the mythic, you almost get like 6 mythics essentially. It's kind of interesting. But no, I do consider the Doom weapons to be pretty high up there. They're not necessarily a necessity. That's because they are pure color, and they can be a bit clunky in some teams. But they are really good in some various Skull Rush teams. Having at least 1 is definitely advised, though, if nothing else. If you're not going to craft all 6, at least get like 1 of the bigger ones, like Doomed Glaive or something. Or one that you feel like you would use more, or just the first one that you see. But yeah, I feel like Doomed Glaive overall works the best, mostly because it works for Truffle, and it still has some decent other compositions, and it hard counters Brown, which is pretty big because Brown is a really popular color in some strong teams. And if they're using a really Brown-oriented team, you can just hard counter it with Doomed Glaive. Not to mention it has Entangle, which is very beneficial, so you don't backfire as much. What's your opinion on the new Doomed weapons that are coming? They're pretty bad. It's basically like a heavy splash kind of thing, right? If I'm not mistaken. They're not going to be the worst type of Doom weapon, though I don't think they're going to be worth to upgrade. They're definitely not... they're not like the current 6 meta Doom weapons. Like, in comparison to them, they're really bad. But in comparison to all the other Doom weapons that aren't them, they're actually the second best Doom weapon in the game. However, second best is not even remotely close to the 6 actually good Doom weapons. The ones that do full AoE into Doom convert. I'm not sure why they made those so good compared to everything else. I wish they would make all the other Doom weapons that good. Like, when I think of a Doom weapon, I think of those 6 weapons as far as power level. And I'm really surprised that no other Doom weapon is similar to that power level. You just kind of expect them to be, given that they're technically... Doom is supposed to be basically like the rarity above Mythic, essentially. Even though Doom weapons are the only rarity that really have that. Or, you know, the only weapon type. Because every other thing doesn't have it. Like, there's no troop that has that kind of typing. But anyways, any other questions, anyone? Otherwise, we'll be heading out for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time as always. Hour and a half prior to now tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As we are every single night. Do keep in mind, the hour is shifting by an hour. So that means I would be an hour... Would I be an hour earlier or an hour later because of that? If the hour is moving forward one. Would that mean I'm an hour earlier? If you didn't shift your time? Wait. Or I'd be an hour later. I'm trying to figure out. Wait. Would I be an hour earlier or an hour later? Hold up. I know the hour is moving forward. But which way would that work then? Wouldn't that be an hour earlier? I'm not sure which way it is. I know, we're moving the, I know that we're moving the hour forward, but I mean, does that make us an hour, ahead or behind people who didn't change their time? Yeah, it would be an hour earlier. Okay, now both people are saying both. I know that it moves forward an hour, but I mean for people that don't shift their time. Would it have been an hour earlier or later? I'll be at the same time, but for everyone else, it won't be at the same time. Okay, earlier, that's what I was trying to get at. So I was right the first time. I was just like second guessing it. But yeah, it would be earlier because we're moving forward an hour. So that would shift us an hour forward to the point that it would be earlier than it normally would be for other time zones. But anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Have a wonderful weekend. Best of luck with the Gnome event. You still have all day, the rest of tonight and all day tomorrow. So definitely still plenty of time to go get onto the event. Don't forget to change your hour forward an hour if you're in the United States. And best of luck with the Gnome event and getting a Mythic if you're still trying for the Mythic, which will be available all the way to Friday. The Vault event's only until Monday reset, so the rest of tomorrow. But the Mythic's still available till Friday reset, which is until the end of Thursday night. So you still got some time on that. But anyways, guys, good night. Catch you later, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, everyone.